Andor Season 2, Episode 4 through 6 has some amazing foreshadowing. But is it a little bit too slow? Starting off with Episode 4, and I did enjoy this episode. I really enjoyed the foreshadowing in this episode. That was a lot of what this episode was. It was a lot of planning and foreshadowing, and I gotta say, I love it. It seems we got a lot more focus on Cyril this episode, as we did have a 1-year time skip, and I like how he's now been informed of part of the Gorman plan, and they're using him to his full advantage, and it makes me wonder, and let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think Deidre actually has feelings for him, or do you think she's just 100% using him? But I like how he's going to be this double agent, because we usually see that happen with the Rebels, but very rarely for the Empire. And I liked how in this episode we got to see that, and how it was so well done. Everything was planted so perfectly well, and he did a tremendous job. It wouldn't surprise me if at the end of his arc, if he actually does flip for the Gormans and become actually on their side as things go on, as he gets betrayed. But we'll see. And then moving on to the Gormans, in the last video that I did, I thought we were going to see the Gorman massacre. I was about 15 years a little bit too late there. They already did the Gorman massacre, so I was a little bit wrong about that. But I do think the Gormans are still absolutely fucked. I mean, Tarkin came in, killed 500 of them. That we know from these episodes. But I think, provided with what the chess game the Empire and Lutheran's playing, and Gorman just being a pawn that's going to be caught in the crossfire, I do think, as Andor and Lutheran said, Gorman's probably going to burn. I 100% get where Lutheran's coming from here. Lutheran is the general at this point. That's how he's thinking. He's thinking tactically, and they are at war, and as terrible as it sounds, lives or resources here. And Andor is thinking a lot more as a soldier, as he said, but Lutheran seeing the big picture and how people can be sacrificed. How Gorman, the one planet out of countless planets in the galaxy under the Empire's rule, if that falls to spark the rebellion in, let's say, 6 other planets, that's probably worth it in his eyes. It's probably worth it if it sparks it in 2 planets. But I get it. I get both sides. We'll see what happens to Gorman, but I think Lutheran 100% is going to sacrifice it. And we did say a little bit of that in episode 6. I'll get to that a little bit later. But episode 4, I think, was well done. I think it's my second favorite out of the 3 episodes for this week, and my second favorite overall. But leading into episode 5, this one was a tad bit too slow for me. I wanted some more. They didn't feel like enough happened in this episode. We got some continuation of the Saw Gerrera arc, and I don't know if it's just me. Let me know in the comments, but I don't give a fuck. We know from Clone Wars, from Rebels, a little bit from Rogue One, that Saw Gerrera is a crazy motherfucker. I didn't need that here. And I don't care enough about the character of Will to really care about him being in this arc either. It was good, it was well written, but I didn't need it. And I don't know if that added to it being slow just because it felt a little bit out of place, but I really wanted something else there. We didn't really get much Mon Mothma in these 3. That's fine. She was a huge part of the first 3, but getting Saw Gerrera instead, yes, he was a part of the first season, but I have yet to see the point of it here, given by the end of this show, I could completely change my mind about this arc. That is 100% probable, and it did happen in season 1. But at the moment, just going from 3 episodes, bit unnecessary. I also like how Andor set as this ambassador and evaluator to Gorman from the rebellion. And I like how it highlighted the inexperience of the Gormans in the now very experienced Andor, and how he highlighted everything going wrong, and how just inexperienced and clumsy the Gormans were, and all the foreshadowing that would lead to episode 6. I just like how much we've seen Andor grow from season 1. And again, him thinking a lot more like a soldier, how these people are alive, as he's down there with these people, getting to know them, seeing them, watching them die, whereas again, Lutheran seeing them from high up, seeing them as numbers and just expendable. So I always do like that debate, pretty much in all pieces of media. I think that debate's super fascinating and is very important for anyone, and it's war. Sadly, you just have to steel yourself sometimes. And then for episode 6, the best episode of the 3. I love this one. This is my favorite episode so far. I liked it for so many reasons. I think this is what the first 2 episodes were missing. This one was suspenseful, whereas episode 5, I didn't get as much of that suspense, and episode 4 set up the suspense, so I was okay with that. But there was a lot of suspense here, good action, great emotions, and I loved seeing Ben Mendelsohn's character, Director Credit, come back. I'm a huge fan of the actor, love the character, I love the Rogue One tie-in there, and I like how he's seeing more screen time, and I'm guessing we're going to see him a lot more coming up. There was a recast of Bail Organa, which I was a little bit disappointed about, but given the actor was busy and the producer and director did comment on it, it's fine. It's hard to get all these actors down in one spot. It is what it is. I think this episode highlighted so well what they were going with in episode 4 and 5. The inexperience, the foreshadowing, it starting to come to fruition, and the consequences of when you don't follow a chain of command, when you think too much when that's not your job, and just... I say this as someone who has obviously never experienced any sort of action like this, but how they portray it, I really enjoyed, and how individuality can really be the downfall in some situations. But it's also funny because in Star Wars, and more importantly in Star Wars Rebels in particular, how individuality is so important there, yet here in these, I would say, more realistic situations, you want to tone down the individuality, especially when you're a foot soldier. And I kind of like that duality, especially with different styles of leadership, and how in like Star Wars Rebels, where you're encouraged to be an individual. I mean, we even saw like Sabine like change her hair, different colors, and even though they followed orders, they trusted each other. They were more of a team, whereas here it's just very much thrown together. And that's more realistically of how it's going to be. And I like the different dichotomy of it. Overall, this show I still think is well done. I wish it was a little bit faster paced, a little bit more suspense that we had in season 1. I think the set designs are fucking amazing. That's where most of the budget went for sure. I love the set designs. The actors are amazing. There's not a single bad actor here. They all do their job so goddamn well. And you see the characters. A lot of these actors are actors we've seen before. But when you watch this show, you can't help but just see the character. I love that. I also love how we got a continuation of Bix's arc over these 3 episodes and how it concluded in the 6th episode. And sadly, we do know Bix is likely going to die at some point during the show. It has to happen. She's not in Rogue One, and we know this show ends right before Rogue One picks up. And I love her character, but she's definitely going to have to die. I like how she took action as she needed to solve her issue. We'll see if it does, but I like that. I like how we saw a bit of it. Fuck that guy. He was a total dick. I loved overall the Imperial meetings. I don't know why I'm enjoying those so much. I like all the strategy by both sides in the meetings that both of them have. I like seeing their strategy, what they're doing, so we know what both sides are planning, and we get to watch that happen. I think that's so well done, and the Imperial meetings definitely showcase it, especially since there's a spy in there, and the Empire's starting to get a little bit of a hint there is. I like watching Deidre and her supervisor. I don't know why. I really like her supervisor. He does a great job. His air, his attitude, he does amazing. Very underrated. But I'm thoroughly enjoying that. I like Mon Mothma's arc. I like how, even though we saw her very little, continuing on from the previous arc, how she's starting to become a lot more of a rebel, believing so much more in this rebellion. Before, she was just the money bag. She was sending the money in. She didn't want to be part of it. She said, yeah, I believe in it, but keep it away. But she's starting to believe that this is not something I can stay away from. I need to take action, and we're going to start to see her become the leader we all know her to be. I'm looking forward to seeing much more of that and much more of her leadership. I will say there is one thing I do not like about this show so far. I didn't like in House of the Dragons, but it's just, and I don't like it that much here. It's just the time skips. There are going to be a lot of time skips in this series, and there was like, I think maybe 1 or 2 in the first season, but in this one, with what the director has said, because we still have to go through 3 years before we get to the events of Rogue One, and we know there's going to be more time skips. It's just, I like the continuity and that continuing from episode to episode, so I wish it was a little bit more like that, but I do still like how every 3 episodes like its own little movie, but I just wish there wasn't, I hope there's not a time skip in between each one. I really hope not, because that's what killed me for House of the Dragons, and I don't think it's going to play them any favors here. They're kind of just doing it just because they have to, and I don't like it. I hope I end up liking it. I hope upon a rewatch it's better. I know Andor Season 1 is better upon a rewatch, but I'm hoping when this is all done, the time skips won't bother me, but right now it's just... get in the mindset, we're getting time skips, we got to keep moving forward, it's going to happen. But... honestly, I'm still pretty happy with Andor so far. I wish a little bit more would have happened, but I'm still pretty happy with this. Let me know your thoughts on Andor episode 4 through 6 and what really intrigued you about that, what you liked, what you didn't like. And if you haven't seen our previous Andor review, you can go check it out right now. Thank you guys so much for watching.